Well, a big fat happy new year to you, Brett.
Happy New Year.
So this is season three of the Therapy Unzipped podcast. We're going into 2025. So on this recording, it's January, whatever the hell it is. I don't know.
The Thoid.
Oh, the Doid.
The Thoid. We're 3 days in.
So I would imagine many of you by now have decided upon this year and what your goals, resolutions are going to be, what actions you need to take, or maybe you haven't decided on those and you're still contemplating, what am I going to do this year? So let's start talking about that. It's customary that at the end of the year, we kind of assess, even if you do that subconsciously, you kind of take a look at the previous year, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what you'd like to change moving forward. And I'm sure you have some stuff that you would like to change about yourself or about your life. And so, what better time than the new year to decide on what you'd like to do moving forward?
Absolutely. Good time to, like you said, take stock. What happened in 24 that I liked, that I didn't like? What do I want to do more of? What do I want to do less of? People jump into, and it's great for goal setting. I love goal setting, and one of the things that I've practiced for a long time is I have a master list of goals that I add to write on. I've written on for 25 years, and I've had this list for 25 years, and it's like the things I want to accomplish in my life.
Yeah.
And there's some lofty goals in there. I mean, like
Mhm.
stuff that will probably never happen, but that's okay. I mean, it's okay. It's okay to stretch. But what I
Like
do
visible abs.
yeah, exactly. Space travel, traveling, going to another planet kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's okay to put on the, clocking 5 million, those kinds of things.
Mm.
Um, and it's okay to put lofty goals down. But what I do is, I review that list every year, sometimes twice a year. And what I do is I add to it, I take things off the list once I've accomplished that.
Yeah.
But I pull one or two things off of that list every year that I want to focus on.
Mhm.
Right. So I can't work on 30 goals at the same time. It's unrealistic and it's just going to end in failure. So
Yeah.
I will pull one or two, depending, on things that I want to focus on that year. And I mean, and you do what you pay attention to. So focus on that. And I try to set, when I put lofty goals on my list, but I set realistic goals when I put them into action. So instead of I want to earn $5 million this year, I want to increase my earnings. I want to have, more in my savings account than I do at the end of the year than I do at the beginning of my year. I mean, and
Yeah.
those are achievable goals. So, a great one is I want to, go get back in the gym. A lot of people are doing that. The PIF, Planet Fitness, is full in
Yeah.
January. Instead of saying I'm going to the gym 5 days a week, I want to increase the amount of time I'm spending in the gym.
Mhm.
Period. So, goals can be our best driver, and they can be our biggest disappointment. So pay attention to
Yeah.
how you're setting your goals and your intentions for those goals.
It is important to, set the SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time sensitive, things like that. It's okay too if you don't have a goal in particular that you want to work on other than I just want to be healthier, let's say.
Mhm.
Okay, if that's the goal and there's nothing that you can make that's really specific or measurable about it or even time sensitive, you can just start doing things, engaging in healthy habits right now that will propel you closer to that. And maybe after a couple of months, a goal actually starts to develop. So let's say I just want to look better naked. That's the goal. Of course, it's more helpful if it's a specific thing. I want to lose, 30 pounds by the summer or something, or spring or whatever. That could be really helpful. But like you said, sometimes that can be a great motivator because you can see progress along the way, measurable progress towards achieving that goal, or it can be detrimental to you because you're not making the gains or the losses or whatever have you how you want to, and so you give up on that. So
Mhm.
if you just sort of set that broad, hey, I just want to look better naked or I just want to be healthier, then start doing stuff each day that's going to help lead you there, and you'll see progress.
Mhm.
So if you just start going to the gym and doing 20 minutes of walking on the treadmill, and that's all you do, but you do that, 4 days a week, you'll start to see some changes. I mean, just the process of going and doing those things, you don't necessarily have to have a goal.
Mhm.
Just do some healthy shit for yourself.
Right. And a lot of people, do the weight loss and I'm going to eat healthier. And that's a great goal. But they want to completely upend their diet, They want to go from what they've been eating all the time and and then eating a bunch of vegetables and lean protein kinds of stuff, which is a great
Right.
goal. But you
Yeah.
got to move into that. You can't just change overnight because that'll be unsustainable. So, what I teach initially is how about you just, work on portion control. So,
Yeah.
when you eat 3 tacos for dinner, how about eating two?
Hmm.
When you and your partner split a pizza, how about you, put it in thirds,
Right. Yeah.
kinds of stuff, So it all starts with portion control. You don't have to completely upend your diet. And, it's great to layer in new vegetables and lean proteins, and that stuff's all good.
I remember when my dad was ordering pizza, he said to the guy, "My doctor says I can only have 2 slices, so just cut it in half."
All right.
Just cut it
Yeah.
once, just cut it in half. I'll just have the two.
Right. I'll just have 2 slaves. See, I'm watching my
Yeah.
pizza all day too. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Portion control and paying attention, setting your intention.
Yeah. This year, I haven't really made any specific smart goals. Last year, it was I'm going to do yoga every day, and I'm going to journal in the morning and then in the evening, and the goal was to become a yoga teacher, and so I accomplished those goals. I journaled every day. I did yoga every day, even if it was just 10 minutes, and I did my schooling and whatnot, and achieved that. And so this year, it's helpful if you continue what those previous habits were and then add a couple new ones. So I don't have a specific goal that I'm working to right now, but I know there's going to be an educational piece that I'm going to want to jump on. I just haven't decided yet. But so I'm still doing the yoga, but I bumped it up to making sure that it is at least 15 minutes because, there was often times when I probably could have done a longer session, but for time's sake, I was like, I'm just going to do 10 minutes. Well, it's like, well, just bumping up 5 extra minutes. So 15 minutes, um, 30 minutes of some sort of cardiovascular activity, which could be going for a walk, which we do most often, or rowing, or even the boxing, doing that 30 minutes each day of some sort in addition to the workouts that, I'm doing, the weightlifting and 50 kettlebell swings.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
so that I just added those things, keeping all the other good habits that I've kept with last year and
Hmm.
and added those things to it. So, and that's
Yeah,
doable.
absolutely. So last year was a strange year for me, and I knew, my goal setting for the year was going to be off because I was selling a house, packing, buying, finding a new house to buy a new house, move, doing the whole thing. And I knew that was going to be take a lot of my time last year. And the goal accomplished.
Yeah.
Did got all that done. But it's been on my list forever is learning other languages.
Hmm.
I've had that to be bilingual on my big goal list for a long time, and I've worked on it, and I've had varying degrees of success. But I said this is what I can concentrate on. So I signed up for Duolingo, this app, and
Yeah.
I really spend 5 to 10 minutes a day, and I've got a streak of over 200 something days in both Spanish and Italian. So
Yeah.
I'm learning Spanish and Italian at the same time.
Va bene.
Wow.
Mm,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Both of those have some similarities, so that's
Yes, they do. They are very similar, but they are different. And I do the lessons back to back usually.
yeah.
And you know, I get my I mix them up sometimes. So
It's easy to do. You start to
uh,
interchange words, and you're like, "Oh no, that's the Italian."
right.
Yeah.
My per favore and my por favor.
Por favor, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a long E
Per
at the end of the
favore.
Italian one. Por favore.
Hmm. Yeah. Both are really nice languages. My wife said last night because I was talking about how I haven't decided on what is the educational piece that I want to tackle this year, and she said that's really good that you do that. I really should do that. So she's been doing yoga every night, and she's like, I kind of want to learn Spanish. And I was like, hey, you know what? If you want to do that, then that could be my piece too, And what better than to have both of us try to work on that together? We can kind of encourage each other, do the lessons together, kind of,
All right.
have conversations, here and there throughout the year in Spanish. And she
Yeah.
was like, nah, fuck that.
Never mind. It sounds like too much work.
Maybe next year.
I know there's lots of different apps and ways you can do that. Like I said, I've been on Duolingo, um, and it's worked. I mean, it's slow. I'm not certainly not fluent, but let's say I work on it every day.
Yeah. Well, and the benefit of those apps is that they gear it more towards conversational
Yeah,
uh, speaking, right? So
yeah,
instead of learning, just you remember when you went to like in high school or college or whatever, when you took the language courses, like you're learning the lot of vocab that
right.
you don't know necessarily know how it goes together, sentence
Conjugating the
structure.
verbs.
Yeah, and
Oh, as an, is an. Yeah.
yeah. And you don't feel like you can really speak it that well, but you know stuff in it. But at least with those apps, I think since Rosetta Stone and Duolingo and Babbel, I think is another one,
Hmm.
they gear it more towards you being able to speak relatively quickly.
Hmm.
So
And you can do as many lessons as you want a day. Excuse me. See, my inner coughing Italian is coming out. See, now I can cough in Italian. See,
yeah.
making progress.
Do they show you the hand gestures on the Italian one?
No, and I don't. You don't learn the swear words either. But
Uh, you can look those up yourself though.
yeah, that's what we could do. We can create an app to, supplement all these uh, bilingual apps. To hey, this is what you really need
Yeah. Dirty Italian.
to do. Yeah.
Dirty Spanish. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that seems like a great goal to work on.
Yeah. Yeah.
A- Anything else that's exciting you guys are going to work on?
Um, I am now that I'm settled, and it took a while to get settled in, but I am going to focus on some cooking this year as well because I have a little free time. I'm working from home, so
Hmm.
my commute is 10 seconds from this room to that room. So I'm going to focus a little bit on cooking this year, and I don't know what that entails. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Um, but I don't know, 600 recipes off of TikTok saved, so maybe we'll go through some of those.
Yeah. Very nice. I mean, you can have some fun with that too.
Absolutely. I like cooking.
I
I
think it's
did
important.
when I'm sorry, when we
No, go ahead.
moved in, I did because things were chaos for a while, but I did one of those meal prep plans for
Yeah.
a month or so, and that was okay. I got some ideas out of that.
Right. It's kind of fun because they teach you how to do some just basic cooking things.
Mhm. And they're fun because you can get a great deal like as an introductory offer.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks is real cheap, and then you move
Yeah.
on to move on
Yeah.
to.
Mhm. A lot of that's kind of time management, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some prep work involved, cutting, dicing, preparing, getting all the pots out and ready and boiling water and things like that. And then that's what I didn't realize how intense cooking can be with the regarding time management, you know,
Mm,
because you don't want things to get burned or, you want them to be just right, but then, that's going to take, um, 10 minutes to do, but then you're also doing risotto, which is going to take 45 minutes,
right.
And oh, I didn't get the oven ready. Shit.
Yeah. And it's not hard and it's kind of easy to slap some meals together, some good meals that you can get ready in a half hour, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we do most of the time.
Yeah.
But there's also the art of like building flavor and letting things, cook for a long amount of time and simmer and slow cook because you build flavor profiles, and
Yeah.
so we're gonna do some of that because I
Yeah.
can. My kitchen is, like I said, about 10 seconds from my office, so I can
Right.
run.
You don't just turn the burner on high.
Yeah, no. So,
I think it is important to note that if you are choosing some healthy habits to engage in this year, whether that's a goal that you're working on or whether it's just, I need to do some healthy stuff for myself, start small. You can always build on it. But if you start big and bold, to your point before, we've been consuming 5,000 calories per day over the Christmas holiday, and now you're going to reduce it to 1,500 calories of vegetables and proteins and whatnot. That's not going to be doable for you. And that's why a lot of people end up just getting discouraged and quitting after 2 weeks because it's just not maintainable. But if you start small, then you can build upon that. Just develop the habit first, and then just add a little bit more along the way.
mhm,
Like before, I had done for a month 300 kettlebell swings a day,
mm,
and it was with a 71 pound kettlebell, which is
wow,
32 kilos. And that was fucking brutal. I mean, the whole posterior chain was just on fire and it sucked. I mean, I got through it, but that's not maintainable. So this year deciding, hey, I'm going to get back into doing the kettlebell swings routinely. I had it in my mind 100 swings, but I know that you got to break it up into sets depending on the weight and how much you can get through, and it takes a little bit of time to do that. It could take 5 to 10 minutes to do that. I decided, I'm just going to do 50. I could always do more if I
mhm,
feel up to it, but 50 is manageable. 50 I can definitely do every single day for the rest of the year, and I'll see what benefits come from that. I mean, I already have an idea, but um, like I said, that's doable, and that feels better to me. If I only have to do 50, then I'll knock 50. I'll knock 25 out. In the morning, I have a kettlebell here at the office. If I have a
mhm,
cancellation, I'll knock another 25 out. Like that's doable. And like I said,
mhm,
if you want to do a little bit more, if you feel up to it, then do a little bit more. But as long as you hit that realistic number, then you'll feel good about yourself. So instead of, like you said, going to the gym 5 days a week and for an hour a piece and then reducing your caloric intake to 1,500, eating just healthy stuff, that you're gonna fail.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, you can always increase, you can always do more, but set a realistic goal. So even if you do I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week, right? You can always go four, but
Sure.
set, and I've done that before. It's like I'm gonna do what 4 or 5 days a week, and then I like miss two during the week, and I'm like Saturday, Sunday, dang it, I'm out there.
Because naturally, the new year brings about some motivation, which we have talked about
Mhm.
before, how motivation is this fleeting, elusive thing that, you really don't need. You just need to be disciplined. But the motivation will come and go. So the motivation for the new year really only lasts 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then that's when you see people fall off. They stop going to the PIF,
Mhm.
they stop going out for those runs or those walks. They start eating donuts again and pizza and whatnot. And so you've got to start really small and just kind of groove the habit of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Motivation, it just doesn't exist. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time someone told me, I just don't have the motivation to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, nobody has motivation. If you want to do something that's hard, it's not there. There is no motivation, right? There's goal attainment. So, the reason that I get out of bed and I work hard every day is so I'm not homeless. The
Yeah.
reason that you know, the reason that I work out and go to the gym is so I'm not a big fat slob. I mean, it's goal attainment. That's why you do the things that you don't want to do.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and that's where your discipline comes in. Just do it anyway. No excuses, do that thing. Set up some healthy things for yourself daily and
mhm,
just stick to those things. Start really small.
yeah.
So I'm curious to hear from our listeners out there. What have you decided? What goals or resolutions, or what's your plan for 2025? What do you want to accomplish? Is it to be healthier? Is it to lose weight? Is it to stop whatever addiction it is that you've succumbed to? Is it to become more financially healthy and to increase your income of some sort? And how are you going to break that down? What are you going to do to work towards that?
Mhm. I've always put on the top of my goal list is just to be a better human being, you know. And I mean, I think I'm a good person. I'm, kind and considerate, and I care about other people. And I try not to be a jerk. So, I mean, that should be the top of everyone's goal is just to be a better human being, whatever that means for you. More patience, more kindness, more understanding, more whatever.
Yeah. I think if you just do those things, then things will pan out how you want them to for the most part regarding relationships and situations, and act with kindness, act with patience, act with compassion.
What's the golden rule we learned in kindergarten? Thou shalt not be a jackass.
Yeah, that was a poster on the
Uh-huh. Yeah, we all had that in our kindergarten.
it was right underneath like the beginning of the alphabet, you know.
Yeah, right. Hey, that's what you get from Chicago Public Schools.
Wow. No. They didn't pull any punches, huh?
Mhm.
Thou shalt not be a jackass.
Uh-huh. And I don't agree with this, but and I shouldn't even say it, but there's this guy on TikTok that I like to follow, and you know how everyone has their shtick, and
Yep.
they say the same things every time. Well, he's like, and yeah, the goal or keep your boots out your mouth, and the golden rule will always apply. Yeehaw, fuck the law.
And that's a shtick, huh? He says that every
That's his
time.
shtick. I don't agree with it. Laws with law enforcement, we love and they're great, but
Yeah.
that's his shtick.
Uh-huh.
And my shtick is just don't be a jackass. I mean,
Yeah.
really, try not to be a jackass.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people who maybe have not gotten to the goal setting phase of their new year because they're concerned and worried about political stuff and, of course, the state, not only of this country, but of the world. And um, they just can't seem to get on board with focusing on themselves because they want to see what's happening. And that's a fallacy. I think that's a cognitive disorder waiting, to see what's going to happen before you actually take charge of your life. I think you need to take charge of your life right now and be adaptable to
Mhm.
whatever comes down the pike.
There's always uncertainty. That's what the whole point, the definition of life is the future is unknown and there is uncertainty. So you move forward at your pace and you move forward with your intentions and we'll see what happens along the way. I think it's going to be an interesting year
For sure.
on lots of fronts. Uh, in a worldly perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm just preparing to. One of my intentions is I'm going just to take things as they come um, and do the best I can. So
Well, I mean, it goes back to the resiliency that we have talked about
mhm.
um, for forever.
Mhm. Mhm.
especially in this podcast, but in our own lives and with the clients we serve, we talked about becoming resilient and doing things that promote that. Because the more resilient you are, hello, the easier it is to tackle or deal with, recover from, adapt to whatever life throws your way, whatever the government throws your way, whatever um, job throws your way, whatever. The more resilient you are, the better you are at being able to cope with and handle those things. So we already know the things that build resilience. If you physically become healthier and get stronger and exercise on a routine basis, if you make sure you're getting enough rest and sleep to recover from, the cognitive and physical demands that you met that particular day, if you're drinking water and hydrating yourself, the body needs water. If you're getting proper nutrition to the best of your ability, and if you're sticking to your routines or your daily schedule, those five things that we preach and talk about again and again and again, we have figured out that this is the secret sauce. And so you might be tired of hearing about it, but you know, those of you who are doing it are not tired of hearing about it because it's a nice reminder to continue
Mhm.
doing those things. And if you're tired of hearing about it, it's probably because you're not doing those things.
Bingo. When I feel run down or, I'm a little bit off, I go back to which one of the five have I been ignoring?
Yeah.
And I can always point to one or more than one usually, but I can always point to them and say, you know what? If I just get back to my routines, I get back to, sleep, exercise, nutrition, keeping my routine and, getting good sleep, I'm good.
Yes.
People make fun of me because I get very possessive about my sleep. All right. And it's like, oh, come on, stay out. Let's do this. We're going to go out till 3 in the morning. Yeah, no, I'm going to sleep. I need sleep.
Yes.
So,
And it becomes more important as we get older too.
mm, I
You know, I
crave sleep. I mean, sleep is
yeah,
one of the most important things that I prioritize in my life.
I think about uh how shitty I feel
Hmm.
and the negative things that happen
Hmm.
physically, mentally, and emotionally when I don't get quality sleep, when
Hmm.
I sacrifice that for other things. And then I think about, man, I used to do this all the time, like in my 20s, where I just wasn't getting any sleep virtually.
Hmm.
And I seemed to be able to function, but thinking back, I don't think I was functioning well.
Right.
I think I did feel like shit back then too.
Hmm. You
But
just
when you're
had, yeah,
younger,
you had more energy and more
yeah,
whatever to deal with it. So, yeah.
but it still affected me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I tell the story. I From my 20s to when I turned 40, I was sleeping 4 hours a night. And
yeah,
that's what I thought I needed. I would go, 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 up at 4 in the morning, in bed at midnight, up at 4 in the morning, running,
yeah.
doing working, doing all kinds of stuff. And I didn't think I needed it. Well, I needed it.
It catches up with you.
Catches up with you. And
Yeah.
now I am in bed at least 8 hours a night, at
Hmm.
least. And I want to, usually I'm like, I want to sleep more, but yeah.
Yeah. So how about that for your new year? How about you just make sure you dial all those things in?
Yep. If you start there, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
And what are those things again? Good sleep hygiene. So trying to stick to, go to bed at about the same time, get up at the same time. Decent nutrition, right? Try to put good foods in your body. Staying hydrated. And it varies of where you live across the country. Um, some places are a lot more important than others, but everywhere is important. You got to stay hydrated. Drink more water
Yeah.
than you think that you need.
Yes.
Follow a daily routine. When your brain knows what to kind of to expect next, instead of it wandering all over, like what the heck are we doing today?
Yeah.
Following a routine, and then
Exercise.
exercise. See the one that I just. That tells you where my brain's at today. And then get some kind of exercise. Most days. No, it doesn't have to be every day, but most days of the week, get some kind of exercise. Whether it's walking around the block, doing something, doing some heavy duty cleaning around the house, dancing while you vacuum kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And these aren't goals. These are musts every day.
Oh yeah, yeah. These are you have to do's.
Yeah. Non-negotiables.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, I mean, if you want to make it, like a goal to finally achieve all those things, then I mean, I guess so be it. But these are things that you must do in order to have good quality health and well-being.
And we were exploring with some different programs, which we may take a look at again. But in those five things, we gave 5 points. And
Yeah.
so every day you rate yourself on how you did, or I usually did it the next morning, like, how did I do yesterday? And, so there's a potential 25 points. So keep your number about how well did you achieve those five goals on a 5 point scale every day?
Yeah.
And that is really telling.
Yeah. I mean, the days that I got at least 23,
Hmm.
23
Felt
to
great.
25, I felt great. I felt fantastic. And the days where it was 17, hello, I
Mhm.
felt like a bag of smashed assholes.
Mhm. And it's a direct correlation. And you can
Yeah.
always point it back to, like, I didn't get sleep, I ate a bunch of crap, and I feel like garbage. Oh, surprise.
And those days, 23 to 25, scoring, 5 points for each one of those domains or categories or whatever, I was able to handle things much
Mhm.
better. I was more resilient. I felt stronger. I felt more accomplished. I felt like the moon and stars were aligned. Like there's
Right.
something to that.
Absolutely. Hmm. Yeah, it's not real magic. It's just, and what it is it's resilient. It doesn't mean that bad things are not bad things. It doesn't mean that stress isn't gonna, is gonna happen. Life is full of stress. Life is full of unexpected things that happen. And that's not gonna. It's gonna continue. That's just
Sure.
life.
Mhm.
But when you do these five things, it makes you more resilient to handle the stress that comes at you at a daily
Yeah.
basis.
Hmm. Right. So they don't beat you down and
Right.
then you end up being the victim to that.
Hmm. The definition of a happy life is not the absence of adversity. It's how resilient you are to manage the adversity that comes at you on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
if nothing
I'm gonna
else,
sew that on a sampler and put that on the dang wall.
yeah, put that right up next to the poster of "Thou shalt not be a jackass." So if nothing else, then do those five things. Make sure that you're attaining to those on
Mhm,
a daily basis. And you can play around with that. I mean, how you exercise, you can decide on what's going to work well for you. How you consume your water, maybe you get a special jug or mug that you do it, or maybe a certain water that you really like in bottles or cans or whatnot. Maybe like a if you like Liquid Death cans, not sponsored by the way, but if you like that, then buy a bunch of them things and maybe that'll be fun for you. Maybe you can make it exciting that way.
Throw some lemons or strawberries in your water. Throw some cucumbers in it. I mean,
Right?
you
Yeah,
know, do something, get creative with it.
exactly. I mean, if you need to make it taste good, so you end up drinking seltzer water, hey, at least that's something. That's not the healthiest, but hey, that's something.
Mhm.
I'll probably steer away from the iced tea or the Crystal Light or something. But maybe that if that's what t it takes for you to consume the amount of water that you need to do, then do that.
Mhm.
They make those little packets or those little you squirt a couple drops in or makes it taste better. There's also those companies that make those little packets that have like salt in them, so it helps you retain the water a little bit more. You're not a fan of peeing all the time, but you
Liquid
should be
IV
clear.
again, not sponsored, but Liquid IV
Yeah,
is.
liquid IV. Um, Element, I think, is another one, right? LMNT. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, not sponsored by any of these things.
But open if anybody wants to reach out.
Yeah, not that we're opposed to them, but seriously, stick to those five things,
Right.
and whatever else you want to add to it, but make sure you're doing those things every single day.
Don't wait for motivation to happen. It's never coming.
No, don't wait until the next president takes over and we figure out what the hell is going to happen, just do those things now. Become more resilient.
Don't wait for the aliens to make first contact in 2025. Just start doing it now.
Yeah. And hey, those of you who like to do the gym and lift weights, like wouldn't you want to be stronger anyway
Yeah.
if the aliens come in 3 months, right? Or next month or whatever? Wouldn't you want to be stronger? You know?
Mhm. And exercise your brain, right? It's just as important as your muscles as exercising your brain. I'm doing the Duolingo again, not sponsored, but open. But so there's other languages, or Tom and I and other people that in our lives we do the New York Times puzzles every day. We do the
Yeah.
Wordle um, connections and strands. So
Strands, that's it. Yeah.
we're exercising our brains on a daily basis, and Tom and
Yeah.
I send our results back and forth to
Yeah.
and
And that's good because, and that leads to something else I want to just briefly mention, accountability.
mhm,
The fact that you are expecting me to send those to you, and I
mhm,
am anticipating you sending me yours.
mhm,
There's no excuse. I have to do it. I know that he's going to send me his if I don't do it, which has happened. And then I feel obligated. I
mhm,
got to see where I'm at, you know?
mhm.
Sometimes a little bit of a challenge. Can you do the strands without using any hints?
Dun 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 dun. Haven't
Oh
done it
man.
yet.
Today I couldn't help it, man. I found like all the hints up front and I didn't use them right away. And I couldn't find for the life of me, I couldn't find the actual words that went to the puzzle. And so then I used like two hints because it was backed up. And then I started to understand what the puzzle actually was asking for. And Um, because of course with those they try to trick you and your mind goes into a different direction and then you're looking for confirmation bias. You're looking for words that fit whatever it
Mhm.
is you're thinking the puzzle's actually
Right.
asking for. And then I use two
Super
hints.
Bowl is not about football. Are you kidding me?
Right?
Festival of Lights is not about is about Jewish foods. What?
Right, I know. The hint, Kugel. What? Festival of Lights. What? Kugel. Oh, okay, yeah.
Uh,
I'm Jewish, okay. Or today on auto, I was thinking shipments, deliveries, like, all that, and it ended up being
I got the
the
first
hint
one,
and it said
which was the
hood.
long one. Yeah.
You got the long one, which was
Yeah,
carbide.
well, I found Shield, and then I had
Oh
to.
yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah.
I got that one
You
right
found
away.
that first?
No hit yet, but I'm still working. I slept in today. Look at me.
Good for you.
I did.
Yeah, man.
So set some goals for the new year. Make them smart goals. And but be kind to yourself, and just
Yes.
you don't have to set hard goals, but set I want to do more of. I want to do less of.
Yes. Go easy on yourself.
Yeah,
And wherever you can, find somebody to hold you accountable, whether that's
absolutely.
a good friend or your spouse or whomever. You find somebody that can hold you accountable to those, and you hold them accountable to their goals or their habits that they're trying to create for themselves. And that is so helpful. If you have somebody
Absolutely.
else that is encouraging you, then that breeds a little bit of that extra whatever motivation that you're looking for. If you need to have that, being accountable to it. So anyway, thank you for being
Oh,
here.
it's a
Thanks
pleasure.
for sticking around with us for season three as we start
Mhm.
2025. And if you have any questions or anything you'd like us to answer or provide any help or support to you, please send your comments and questions to questions@therapyunzip.com.
All right, Tom,
Grateful
always a
for
pleasure.
you,
Great
Brett.
to see you.
Yeah, always a treat, man. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right.